Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Today we have actress, model, and teacher Lerubi Lopez joining us on the show. We want to emphasize that we are not providing any health advice, medical claims, or medical recommendations during the recording of this podcast. It is vital that you consult with a healthcare professional regarding any specific diagnosis or health concerns you may have. Additionally, any references made to organizations or institutions are purely for informational purposes and should not be perceived as endorsements or criticisms.
They only gave me 1 year to live.
Wow.
I was only given 1 year to live. MSK, the oncologist at MSK, the Memorial Sloan Kettering Center told me, within 1 year, you'll be gone. I'm not even sure you'll last till 1 year.
All right, guys, welcome back to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. We're back for Ep.4 this week. We just dropped the episode with Mark Payson. He's a fitness coach and podcaster. And we had a great discussion with him, especially surrounding mental health. And one of the things that he said that really stuck out to me, particularly since a lot of our audiences people who are people of color or people who are minorities. One thing that he said that stuck out to me was the fact that he wants to get more people of color talking about their mental health issues, just because it's just something that is so often neglected. So I really want to get into today's interview because I definitely think there's going to be a lot of value for everyone listening, for everyone watching, especially for those of you who may have had different diagnosis or had family members go through different diagnosis. So I'm really excited to get into this discussion. It's a discussion with an old friend. We actually met in college, and we'll go through that as time goes on. But today we have actor, model, and cancer survivor Lerubi Lopez with us today. How are you doing today, Lerubi?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you and with everyone on your platform and share my story. And hopefully, it can be of some value to someone experiencing something similar, or if you have a friend that may be going through it or anything like that. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm definitely sure that it definitely will be a value of seeing, and we'll get into it too, because we've seen your videos on YouTube and what you shared there. So a lot of value, and you guys should definitely check it out. I think it is Loving Life with Lerubi Lopez, right?
Yeah, Living Life
Like,
by Ruby Lopez.
yeah. So definitely, you guys should definitely go on there, and we'll obviously put the links in the description. So give me your background. You grew up in the Bronx, New York, right? Like
Yeah.
what part of the Bronx?
First, actually, I grew up in Washington Heights. And then when I was 9 years old, I moved to the Bronx. And it was more like the Creston Avenue, Walton Avenue area. And yeah, I mean, I guess just a regular childhood with both of my parents and went to school. And I don't know, I always felt like I mean, I always go into mindset, like I would always visualize like, oh my God, I want to move. I want to move somewhere. Like, where am I going to move? And I would start visualizing. Yeah. I've always been big on the whole positivity and mindset growth and things like that. Yeah.
And you went to Washington Irving High School, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. Is that in Washington Heights or is that in the
No, that's
Bronx?
actually 14th Street, Manhattan.
14th
You-
Street. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I went to Washington Irving first, then I transferred to Manhattan Center.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
And then
lucky.
oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I got lucky. I was telling some friends yesterday. They were like, "Oh, you went to Manhattan Center?" I'm like, "I got lucky that year. I actually did good at math. I was
Uh-huh.
taking tutoring, and when I went to the district to get a change, they said, "You need to go to Manhattan Center. You're great at math and science." And I said, "Really? Okay." And I went there. Yeah.
And from Manhattan Center, you then went to, was it directly to BMCC?
Yeah, then I went to BMCC for 1 year.
Hmm.
Um, because throughout my high school career, like I was focused on, for good or for worse, I was focused on modeling and acting.
Hmm.
So my mind wasn't really 100% focused on the studies.
Hmm.
Um, so it ended up happening that I had to go to the community school first to then go into a 4 year college. And I said, okay, yeah, not a problem. I'll
Uh-huh.
do that. And then I went for 1 year to BMCC. I'm like, that's not going to hurt. Everything is
Hmm.
moving forward, everything is growth. So that year that I went to BMCC, I got straight A's in all of my classes. So transferring
Nice.
to a 4 year school was easy. So then I chose a CUNY school. I chose a CUNY school and I ended up going to Hunter, which is
Hmm.
where you and I met, right? In one of the
Yep.
religion classes. Yeah.
Yep. We met in the religion class. Woman, I think it was woman in religion. I think
Yeah,
with Professor Tirana. I think it was,
I
if I
remember the.
remember her. Yeah, I don't even know how that just came back to me. That was like years ago. That literally, like, it literally just came back to my mind.
Yeah.
So I think it was Professor Tirana. I definitely remember that. So so we met there, met at Hunter, and it was definitely a very interesting class as well. We
Hmm.
had a lot of fun discussions in there,
Hmm.
and you spoke about you spoke about doing acting and modeling. When
Hmm.
did that love for acting and modeling start? Like, where did that
That started
generate?
when I was 5 years old. Like I remember being five and wanting to be in a Pantene hair commercial. Like, how can I be in a commercial? Like, how does that work? Um, and I would imagine, visualize being in music videos, and I would feel like, or like I guess I would hear like, oh, that's famous people, or like that's not accessible to you, things like that. But then I would think, no, if it's accessible for them, it should be accessible for me. There has to be a way for me to break into the industry. They're humans just like me, so I always had that mindset going, that like, oh yeah, if it's possible for another person, it could be possible for me. There has to be a way. So like that kind of like growth positive mindset, which is what I was referring to in the beginning. Like I grew up, like, I guess, in sort of like a rough neighborhood. Not when I lived in Washington Heights, because that was like not a rough neighborhood, it was calm. But then getting to the Bronx, it was like a shocker. It was like a little bit rough. And thank God, like I was always safe, I was always protected. But when you're in a rough neighborhood versus not being in one, right? And that's where my mindset would go and be like, I need to get out of here. There's gonna be a way. Like I'm going to find the way in the future. I'm like, how? And then I would just start thinking. I mean, because you would think like you go to school, you get a job, and that's it. Then you live where you want to live. But I've always had like all these aspirations. Going back to what you said, like modeling and acting. Yeah.
What was the first, if you remember, what was the first play or first, um, I guess, work that you did? Do you remember?
Yeah, oh my God. The first play that I did, and I don't know if the only play that I did, it was
Uh-huh.
called Con un machete se llega a Roma. It was awesome. It was actually in Washington Heights. There was like a little theater there, and I was a part of a small theater group, El Tec, and it was awesome. I was the supporting actress in the play, and it's an unforgettable experience to be given that opportunity and work hard at it. It was a lot of work writing those lines, but it was awesome.
You're probably gonna have to give us a translation on that. What was the movie, the show about?
Yeah, the name of the play, Con un machete se llega a Roma. So with a machete, you get to Rome. But
Interesting.
yeah, but I think it's more about like, I mean, it was about people like trying to get a passport to
Hmm.
go to the United States.
Interesting. Okay.
But I guess metaphorically speaking, you know, I don't know if you like push through,
Uh,
and you break your way through, like you're gonna find the way and get to
yeah.
where you get to. I think.
Yeah, I can
Whenever
definitely see.
I know, but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I can definitely see like the parallel there between like, yes, you're going physically to America, but then there's a the other part of it of going beyond and breaking through a barrier or breaking through whatever odds to beat,
Right.
whatever
Like
it is you're trying to.
you're gonna need a lawyer. You're gonna
Yeah,
need to know people. You're gonna have to make new connections. Where are you going to live? Where are you gonna stay? Not easy, right?
yeah, yeah. Now you now we met a Hunter, and you graduated Hunter. I don't know what year. What year was that?
So we met at Hunter, but then I had my first daughter. No, no, even before that. No, no, no. We met at Hunter. I was focused on my modeling and acting, and I was auditioning, and I had a manager. And, I'm also working tastings at the same time as working there, as going to school, and I'm doing like background work on film and TV, and I'm doing commercials. And, I was just like, no, I want to make it as an actor, I want to make it as a model. And my last year, guys, my last year, of course, why wouldn't Lerubi take a risk? I said, I'm dropping out of college. Why wouldn't I go? Like, it's me. Hello. That's what I do. So I said, no, like, I'm leaving college. I'm dropping out. Label it, what you want to label it. And I said, I'm going to follow my dreams. And there was just like some power into that, into like leaving. I don't know. And I said, I'm going to follow my dreams and there's going to be a way. I want to break into the industry. And for a while, then that was my focus. Like I'm going to work and I'm going to do the auditions and I'm gonna find the way. So then from there, I ended up meeting someone and we fell in love and I had my first daughter. And yeah, then once I was, pregnant with her, like when I was like 7 months or 6 months, like I had this idea like, you can't tell your daughter go to college. You have to show them. You have to show them go to college. So I'm going to college. Like I was already in it, I just had to finish it. So I said I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish my bachelor's degree. And I went back. I finished it. I only had like two more classes to take. But guess what I did? Because I go with the flow of what I'm feeling. So guess what I did? I stayed for an extra year because I wanted to. Because I ended up like falling in love with sociology. I fell in love and I'm like, oh my God, I have to take this sociology class. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to take this one too. So I stayed like an extra year. And in the moment, I didn't think that, I'm like, it's not going to hurt me taking more classes. Like, this is what I want to do now. This is what I feel. This is like, wow, I'm like, this is making me feel good. I'm gonna do this. So I was never thinking like, oh my God, hurry up or you won't get into corporate America. Or like, for me, it was more about flow. And even now, that's one of my philosophies. Even now, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes like life has a funny way of you know, just showing you the direction that maybe you should be going in. Like and I think maybe even for you, maybe you didn't see. And I know as you get more into your story,
Hmm.
where life would take you. Like there's so many things that like we have no idea what's going to happen. We know that we have a particular path in our head that we
Yes.
want to go and keep, but I think sometimes we don't always think of like the potential pitfalls or things that are going to come up. And so, we're always surprised. And then with the surprise, we're trying to figure life out. So then things happen along the way until we kind of do figure things out. And I want to put figure in quotation marks because I don't know if we ever really figure life out. We come to an understanding, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, yeah, life is always changing, and it's all how you receive what's happening, and feeling and knowing like life is happening for me. Life is not happening to me. Like, oh my God, look what happened to me. No, this is great what happened to me. It's happening for me. And from this, like something new is going to develop, something better than I even pictured. Like you were saying, like maybe I had this idea of how things were going to go, but maybe God is leading me in this direction of letting things go this way so that in the end, I will get potentially what I envisioned, but maybe even in a greater capacity that you had no idea you could have even been able to reach or come to experience, you know?
And you speak about, God taking you in a particular direction.
Hmm.
Uh, and I found that on our show, I found so far that one thing that's been consistent for the guests that we've had on is that they all had a strong faith, whether that was God or, of faith in themselves being able to make it through. There was always that factor of faith.
Hmm.
Now, for you, how important has faith been for you throughout your life, especially up until this point? Like, where did that start? Like, can you just give us an idea of where that foundation started for you?
Yeah, I mean, the foundation started for me, I guess, with my family. I would go to church with my dad when I was little. I go to the Catholic church. And then growing up, I went. But then as I was going to the Catholic church, I felt like, wait a minute, this is all like theater. Because I studied theater at Hunter College. I'm like, this is all theater. It feels like all, like, I don't know if there's a flow. It feels like it's all been put together, you know? And then I was like, wait a minute, there's a lot to life. And yes, I believe in God, but whatever religion you choose or that you're in, it's being constructed in a way. I don't know if I'm being clear. That's just like too much right now. Like it's all like it's all being constructed, and like don't lose your understanding, like that, the understanding that you get in your soul of like what things mean due to what's placed in front of you. Have your own idea and your own belief towards what you're experiencing or what's happening. Don't just like fall into the flow of what's being presented to you,
Yeah,
you know? So I also started to discover that as well. But other than that, like I've always been a big believer in God, and I've been a big believer like in a higher power and in something greater than me, because if I look back at my life and I'm like, look at the things that I've envisioned, and have I been able to do them, and has there always been a way? I'm like, yes, there has. And that's not just because of me. There's something higher than me, and that's God, and that's an invisible energy working that's not just me. It's bigger than that. God is here in all of this.
yeah. And one
Hmm.
thing I like to do, especially like as a personal trainer, when I do consultations with clients, I'll ask them I'm like, hey, I'm your personal trainer, so I'm letting you know that I firmly believe that whatever it is you believe in is what's going to help you get through or accomplish whatever goals you're seeking to accomplish. So if God is ultimate for you, then maybe tap into that, right? And this is why I always try to find out from our clients, like what is the driving force? What's the thing that is really pushing you through each and every day? And so I'll
Yeah.
say like, hey, if that's the thing, then rely on that, right? Like really rely on that. And you'll notice maybe it wasn't clear before, but you'll notice how that thing is actually helping you to accomplish what you're seeking to accomplish.
Hmm. I agree. Like it's so true. Like if you don't have your why, if you don't know your why of like why you're even doing this, anything that you are doing in your life, then you're not going to do it. You need to have a big why. Because I've been in that situation in moments in my life where I've been like, oh, like, wow, like I've wanted to achieve this, but it didn't happen for me that way. I'm like, it's all over. Like it's not gonna lead to the direction that I wanted to. And then I've like seeked like resources, like such as going to Tony Robbins events, and I completed Mastery University, did a bunch of his programs, and it helped my mindset, and it helped me understand that no, I have a big why. Like you always have a big why, you just have to look and see so that you can be intentional with your time. And I have a big why, my two daughters. I have a huge big why. If I ever feel like, oh my God, like, no, what am I doing? This is going to lead nowhere. No, it's leading somewhere. For some reason, you had the thought that you had in your mind, like imprinted on your mind. It's been given to you for some reason. And then you thought about it, and then you speak about it, and then you take action on it. It's for a reason, you know? It's not just because. So when you think like, "Oh, should I do this or should I do that?" Yes, go ahead, do it. This idea has been given to you for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. And that's how I feel also about the podcast as well. Like they're not. This is gonna sound bad, but I guess there are not many things that come to
Mm,
me as like you should do this. But like this is one of the things. This podcast is one of those things that like no, you should do this because it definitely
cool.
creates that space. Yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So you spoke about your why, and you had your first daughter. What year? What year was your first daughter born?
Um, oh my gosh. 2015.
2015. And then your second daughter is born.
So, and then I graduated from the bachelor's
Mm,
2017. Like it was
mm.
winter 2017.
Okay. So
Yeah.
2015, 2017, you graduate from Hunter with a bachelor's, and
Hmm.
then we're doing more acting work, more modeling. Like, is that like
Yeah.
what comes after at that point?
I mean, after that point, oh, that's when yeah, I went through that whole change that I briefly just like spoke about of like feeling like, oh my God, like what I wanted, is it not going to happen? Like, what's going on? Is it all over? Like, because when you become a mom, your mind changes, your body changes, emotionally, spiritually, everything changes. So, yeah, and then you also hear the thoughts and ideas of like the people in the world and how they say like, oh, once you become a mom, it's over. That's it. You can't do what you want anymore. Now all your focus is on the kids, which I hear what they're saying. Yeah, you're going to be so busy taking care of the kids that I guess if you let yourself be sucked into that, like you won't be able to do anything else. But if you don't do anything else with your life and you don't do things that you're passionate in your life, then you won't have any positive like energy with the kids because then you'll be lost. You won't be there. You will be like living not alive, you know? So then like that's when I realized after that point, after graduating, I'm like, why am I feeling this way? I cannot feel that way. No, no, no. I need to do something to change this. So I was scrolling through my Instagram and then I see a Tony Robbins event. And I said, Tony Robbins, I've seen his books at the Shakespeare store across the street from Hunter College. Every time I go buy a book for my classes, I'll see Tony Robbins, motivational speaker. I'm like, no, wait, this is what I need to wake me up from this and like get like make me realize, what's next, what's possible, and like get me to like meet new people, see how they did things and how they are thriving. Because a lot of people, people that go there are like overachievers and stuff, and everyone has kids, everyone has relationships. So how did they get over all of this and still become successful? So I'm like, I need to go there. I need to go there. So I went there, and I'm telling you, it's been life changing, totally life changing because I needed that. Hmm.
So that happens. You come along. There's been more of a foundation for positive thinking, and then I know that I'm not sure exactly what year, but what year does the cancer diagnosis come?
So the cancer diagnosis that came last year, December 2022.
Wow, wow, so still very fresh.
Very fresh. Yeah.
Now,
So
what?
been 9 months right now.
Yeah,
Almost a year. I mean, actually, almost a year in
hmm,
December.
yeah. And what at the moment that you received that? Because when we spoke to Matthew in our last episodes. Matthew is a AIDS HIV survivor, and he first got it I think 2007. So he's been with it for 16 years. Um, but and I remember to speaking to him in that conversation how emotional and how connected to it, like he still felt like it was still very fresh. What was it for you, or how was it for you at that moment when you got that diagnosis? Like, how did it hit
I'm
you? How did it impact
Can
you?
I backtrack a little bit?
Hmm.
Can I backtrack a little bit, like
Oh,
leading
sure.
up to the point? Yeah, I wanna. So, I do the Tony Robbins events. I come back with the ideas that I want to have these businesses. And like, I've always felt that, like, even since I was little, that I wanted to have businesses and be the actor, be the model, be the entrepreneur. And I continue to audition. I have some ideas of like courses I want to make, or like have a shake business, like a smoothie business. I didn't know how to go about it really. And when you're not clear on steps, you may not go through with things, which is not good. So, you know, I don't know, it just came to me like being clear on steps and giving yourself like an outline or like a deadline is also important, because you can wish and want something really bad, but if you don't have a plan for it, then it may not happen, right? And I feel like God wants for whatever he told you, like whatever idea that you're thinking about, like he wants for it to happen, but then we have to get into action. So, right? Right? You agree with that?
I totally agree. And actually, for those of you following on the YouTube, is actually a short that I put out called "Turning Your Why into a When." Right? Like if
Hmm.
you know your why, it's time for it to become a when. Like
Hmm.
it's good. It's good to have a why, but you need to know exactly when that thing has to happen, and you have to be the person that's going to make that happen.
Absolutely. Like you have your ultimate goal, but what are the steps that we need to do and take action in to get to that ultimate goal? And we
Yeah.
know you just have to like look within. So I did that, and then I kept doing my castings. I kept auditioning, um, and then from there, I had my second daughter. Then from there, I said, with everything I've learned, I'm feeling like I have to do something greater than myself. I have to like help communities in some way. And maybe I won't have like, I don't know. I don't want to say that I won't have, because words are powerful. But how can I put this? Like maybe I won't have like at this moment like the exact business that I want or the exact situation right now, but what can I do right now that can potentially in the future lead me to where I want anyways, and or like have like similar ways that I would help the world through doing that thing. So then that's how I thought, like, I'm like, wait a minute, what if I become a teacher? Because, during the pandemic, everything shut down. And I had been doing like liquor tastings for years, years and years, like 10, 12 years of promotional work, plus the acting and modeling and the auditions, they still continued during the pandemic. But the background work stopped and the liquor tastings, they stopped. So I
Yeah.
said, what can I do in this moment right now? Like, am I just not going to do anything? No,
Mhm.
there has to be something I can do. And then that's
Right.
when I said, okay, I'll apply and do the teaching fellows program and become a
Mhm.
teacher. Become a teacher and help students, help parents, help communities. And that was really my idea. That's what I thought.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. So I worked
Yes.
really hard on that. I got the master's in special education. I didn't
Mhm.
sleep. I barely slept. I would eat fast food a lot just to get through this program because you have no time. And
Mhm.
thank God to my mom, she was helping me with the girls, but still it was a lot for her, like helping me with the girls, and then like to prepare all these meals, that's a lot. So sometimes we
Mhm.
would like eat like for lunch, let's say McDonald's or something. And
Mhm.
you know, a lot went into that. Like I didn't sleep. I declined going out. Like I was just like focused on that,
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
completing that program. Focused. And before you know it, like I did the program. I got the masters, and then I wanted to move. That was one of my goals. I got to move as
Mhm.
well. And but like after all these great things happened and I graduated, I was able to
Mhm.
move. I wanted a space for my daughters, and then that's where it hit. That's where it hit.
Mhm.
Like all of a sudden, like, you know, November. I think I graduated May of like that school year. Like this is
Hmm.
confusing, like to try to explain the timeline, but it was like graduating like in May, and then summertime came along. Then I went back to the school in September. I started to feel this pain. Then October, and then October hits, and then that's when I get a message. I literally I got a message, and I'd say it's from God because I felt it. And the message was, Lerubi, what are you still doing in this school building? Your mission here is over. I'm not crazy, guys. I'm not imagining that I got this message. I literally, it was like a sentence that was like imprinted on my brain, on my mind. Like, Lerubi, what are you still doing in the school building? Your mission here is over. And I thought, like, what the heck does this mean? Like, what is God trying to tell me? And then the pain kept going. And until one day oh yeah, so it was bad. I missed something that I stopped working out during that time of completing the master's and the teaching fellows program. I stopped working out and I got bigger after I had already started after I had already started in my health routine. Because after each daughter that I had, I lost 45 pounds. I had like worked hard to lose the weight of the pregnancy. And then being in the program, it was like I was giving birth to a whole new baby. And I gained all that weight and didn't take care of my health, like putting work first, and like career, I guess. And I didn't put myself first and I didn't put my health first. And that was not good. That was not good. Like to anyone that, or even to me, like whatever we need to do in the future, you still have to put your health first. Some way, some shape, some form, put it first. I wasn't doing that. So then going back, hope is not confusing that I'm like getting to points. Okay. So going back to when I received the message, and then, I had like started working out again during that time. I said, oh, I'm gonna work out at least 2 times a week. I don't have time for it, but let me make this happen. It'll make me feel better because I was feeling sluggish, tired, a little bit bigger. And I'm like, no, let me try. Even though there's no time, let me try and do it. I did it. One day I went to the gym. I had been experiencing pain since Sunday, and I went to the gym Monday. It was either Saturday or Sunday. I went to the gym Monday, something like that. It was already like 3 days, 3 days, experiencing that pain in my stomach. And I'm like, I went to the gym. It still hurts. I'm like, something is really wrong. So it's not that my body needed a little movement. Something is wrong inside of me. Something is there. I go to the urgent care, and they thought it was a UTI. They're like, oh, you just need antibiotics. It's a UTI and you're going to be fine. And I thought, you think so? But why does my stomach hurt so much? And they're like, yeah, it's just a UTI. Take that. So I took the antibiotics, couple of days. It still hurt so much. And then I decided to go to the emergency room. I remember Wednesday morning, I woke up, and it's insane how I remember Wednesday morning, I woke up and I laid on my back and I thought, I never get to touch. I'm sorry, this is gonna sound like a little bit like rated R, but not in that way. Like, I never get to touch my body. I'm like, I'm just working, 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 working. And you know how doctors they say like touch your body, see if you feel any masses or anything like that. I'm like, I never get to do that. I'm just working, working, working. And now I just started the gym again and I have my daughters and I take care of my daughters. And wow, let me do that. And I did
Hmm.
it. And I laid on my back and I touched my stomach and there it was, a
Hmm.
huge ball. I felt a
Wow.
huge ball and that was the mass. And it
Wow.
felt like a baby's head. It
Wow.
felt like a baby's head and I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Am I pregnant?" I'm like, "I'm not pregnant." I'm like, "What is this?" I'm
Right.
like, And then I'm like, no, what
Wow.
is going on? I'm like, what is this? I
Hmm.
immediately I sent an email to work and I said, I can't go in today. I have to go to the
Hmm.
emergency room. I'm not feeling well. And I was like, I know I have to do IEPs for the school, like the students individualized educational programs. I had like
Yeah.
12 to write and I was writing them like one after the other and like teaching the kids. I'm like, but if I don't go to the emergency room right now, what else is going to happen?
Right.
I'm like, I'm in pain. I feel a huge mass like in my stomach. If I don't go now, what else is going to happen? Because we don't want to go to the doctor, right?
Right.
We don't want to go to the doctor. We don't want to stop going to work. We don't want to stop showing up for what we signed up for. But if you don't stop showing up sometimes, then you won't be there for what you signed up for. You won't be there for your kids. You won't be there for your family. You won't be there for yourself. So, what good would it be? What good would it be? So, I said, I need to get out of here. I need to go and figure this out. I go to the emergency room, and the doctor tells me, "You look great." She was like, "You look great. I don't see anything wrong with you. Look at you. You have a great smile on you. You look fine." I'm like, "That's because I'm happy because I like to smile a lot, but I don't feel good." I'm like, "I need a scan. I need an ultrasound or a CT scan." I felt something huge inside of me this morning. I'm like, "I want to know what's going on." So I fought and fought that day. Like, I was there for hours. I fought, like, requesting what I needed. Because if you don't request what you need, you're not going to get what you need. You need to say what you need when you go to these hospitals. You need to request it, or you're not going to get it. You're not. And I learned it the hard way. So there we go. Ultrasound. The technician goes, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, there's something here." I'm like, "What is it?" "Oh, I'm not allowed to say," she says. I'm like, "Is it a human?" And I make that joke. I'm like, "Is there a human there?" She's like, "No, no human." I'm like, "Good." I'm like, I wasn't expecting a human anyways, but you know, I was trying to make light from the situation. And she was really concerned. Like, she terrified me, her facial expressions. And and before you know it, not long after, when I go back to the waiting area and the doctor asks to speak to me, she takes me to a little room. And that's where I hear the words that I never wanted to hear. She says, like, "Has anyone in your family ever been diagnosed with cancer?" Those were the words I never wanted to hear, that I'm sure no one wants to hear. And I'm like, "No, not exactly." I'm like, "I know my mom had malignant cells um in her, not ovaries, but another section there. I forgot the name of it, but not cancer." And maybe distant family members had cancer, but it's not like a thing where, like, "Oh my God, in our family there's cancer, a lot of cancer." I don't remember hearing that. No, I told her. And she says, "Well, we're not sure right now, but the mass you have may be cancer." Everything froze for me there. I just froze. I just froze, and I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. And I just thought, like, "Oh, cancer. Hmm."
Hmm.
When you hear something and you're just like processing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was intense.
Yeah. And I mean, this is November, December of 2022. You're
Yep. November.
30 November, right? 30, 31,
30 years old
right?
at the time.
30
Thir-
years old, two
I'm 30
girls.
now. Yeah, two
Yeah.
girls.
And so, life ahead of you, you're teaching, you're
Yeah,
just completed a master's program. So I could imagine like this is hitting you like extremely hard.
yeah, like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
So then she says, I'm like, "So how do you know then if it's cancer or not?" oh, she says, well, you would need to have surgery. And then once the mass is removed, and she told me the size of it, it was 11 centimeters. Once it's removed, then they'll be able to do a biopsy on it while you're in surgery. And they'll be able to know if it's malignant or not. If it's malignant, then it's cancerous. So I was like, it's not going to be malignant. It's not in my mind. I'm like, it's not going to be malignant. It's not. So then I leave the hospital. They said to go back to work. I said, I'm not going back to work with this pain. It hurts too much. It was hurting a lot. I'm like, and they just told me that I could possibly have cancer. I'm gonna go back to work like nothing happened. Like I don't even feel right now. I'm like, I'm not in that mental state to go to the classroom and be with all the students. That's gonna stress me out even more on top of the stress that I'm going through right now. I had 12 students in the classroom and like 5 paraprofessionals. It was a 12-on-4 setting. I'm like, my mind is not there right now, and to do the IEPs is not there. I'm like, I'll try and finish as much work as I can before I leave, which I don't have to because right now, like, I would be leaving to take care of my medical needs, but I'm going to do some work before I leave, just to like help out. But going into the classroom, into that particular job, it was not an option at that moment. I knew that I needed to focus on my health. It was like now or never. When you think of cancer, you think about death. And I said, I don't want to die. So I got away from there. I focused on going to appointments, making appointments. I called the insurance and I'm like, I need a CAT scan, and they had to get the approval. And it was just a big fighting back and forth with the insurance and the hospital to try to get the right approval for the CAT scan because they told me I wouldn't get my surgery done unless I had the CAT scan first. And then once all the fighting was done to get the CAT scan, I went to 3 opinions. I went to 3 different hospitals to hear what was their opinion on my CT scan results and on the surgery that I needed. I wanted to hear every doctor and see what they thought, about the situation, what they thought I needed, and what they thought was going on. So I interviewed like 3 different hospitals, 3 different doctors at 3 different hospitals. And during this time I had a great friend. I want to thank God because I'm so blessed. I've had the
Mm-hmm.
greatest friends, the greatest family, and I never felt alone during this
Mm-hmm.
time. And when you're experiencing like a cancer diagnosis, you don't want to feel alone. You don't want to
No,
be
definitely.
alone. You need like a strong support system. So during this time, I had my friend Edgar Felix. He
Mm-hmm.
accompanied me to all these appointments, helped me get all these different opinions, and he was there for me. I would be like, "Oh my God, am I going to die?" And he would say, "You're not gonna die, Lerubi. Come on, come on. You're getting this done right now. You're doing the right thing. You're taking care of your health. That's the
Right,
right move. You're not going to die. Like you're being proactive. You're being
right.
proactive with your health." So,
Wow.
thankfully, like all those steps were able to get done. And then until finally I went into my surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I went into my surgery and I'm thinking, me and Edgar were thinking like, oh yeah, the mass is going to be removed
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be malignant. When
Right.
we try to analyze some Google images with the images of my CT scan, and we thought like, it doesn't look like the
Mm-hmm.
colors are demonstrating cancer. Like we try to analyze it. We're like, it's just going to be one shot deal, take it out and boom, you'll be ready and ready
Mm-hmm.
to go on with your life. But
Right.
it turned out that when I woke up from surgery, the doctor said, she comes in all serious and with the surgeon, the assistant and the surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
and they both look at me and she says, I'm sorry, it was malignant.
Mm-hmm.
You have ovarian cancer,
Mm-hmm.
dysgerminoma.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if they told me the staging of it in that specific moment or if they waited to give me the staging. But the tumor was found at stage 3. So
Wow.
not stage 1, not
Yeah.
stage 2, stage 3.
Wow.
So I Googled it. I'm like, how many stages are there? And I saw 4.
Mm,
And I thought, like, so I'm a 1 stage away from death.
right.
Like, this can't happen. And no. And in the beginning, like, I was just crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And then until maybe like 2 months later, I said, no, 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 no. People don't want to be around weak people. People want to be around strong people. And you have 2 daughters that need you, and you have your family that needs you. This is not the time to be weak. Cancer diagnosis or not, you're still alive and you're still breathing. So, what can you do to stay alive? And I became obsessed with what I could do to stay alive. I became obsessed.
And is it at this time where, like, because I following the channel, and I'll call it like holistic activism, right? Because it seems like you really went into like really researching like the natural means of treating it, because that's not usually the direction that most people go. They're like, I'm gonna trust the doctors, I'm gonna trust science, and I'm just gonna let them direct the whole process and let them help me through the treatment and the chemo and everything. And it's kind of similar to what Matthew spoke about. Matthew said that like he said, I'm going to rely on God and do the things that I know how to do, and you guys can rely on science. But he got through his difficult time, his rough patch. Going through holistic means, but and looking at different ways and relying on God to get through that. And so to kind of take us through how you got to that point of looking at things through a holistic lens and seeking to address this, not necessarily through medicine, but like allowing the things from nature to kind of guide you to deal with your treatment this way.
Mhm. So imagine, you hear you have a cancer diagnosis and you're like, like an animal in the wilderness, in the woods, lost, confused. I felt like I was out of place, like I was not in my normal habitat or like my normal self. This was all new to me and I didn't know how to exist. I didn't know how to be alive. Nothing. And like all of a sudden, like I get like this idea one day. And like people don't want to be around like weak people. Like, how can we be strong? How can I do research, my own research to like heal holistically? Because honestly, like it was an idea that came to me from God. So God made me do this research on the holistic way. He led me into that direction. I don't think it was just me, like it was like a higher calling, like above me, that made me go into that direction. And I remember one day also waking up and having this epiphany. And I remember calling my friend Edgar, and I say, Edgar, um, I know what I have to do. I'm going to have my cancer healing journey, and I'm going to document everything I can from the beginning of it until time allows, until as much as I can. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to document everything, and this is my purpose right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, like God told me this is what I need to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. Like I documented as much as I could, all the appointments, different recipes, different things that I did, going to holistic doctors, going to herbalists, doing my Google research, I posted all of that journey and how I was feeling on YouTube. I
Mm-hmm.
posted it on my channel, Loving Life by Lerubi Lopez. And it's just, I say that it was a calling from God to do it in that way.
Yeah.
Because and not only was it a calling from God, but I also felt it like in myself. Well, I guess God gave me this feeling of like, all right, when they offered chemotherapy to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I needed to think about it. Because I mean, first I thought I was going to do it, to be honest with you guys. After surgery, I thought, yeah, I'm going to start chemo. I even have a video on my channel where I said, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to meet with the oncologist and we're going to get rid of this cancer and I'm going to go through chemotherapy and it's going to be great. The surgeon said I only need about 3 chemo sessions. That shouldn't be so bad. If I have to throw up, I'll throw up. I'll get through it. I'll go through all the symptoms. Diarrhea is one of them and this and that. And I'm like, I'll get through all these symptoms. God is with me. But we go to this first initial appointment after the surgery to meet with the oncologist. And she says, I'm so sorry about what you're going through. You're going to need 3 months of chemotherapy. And depending on how you handle it, it may even lead up to 6 months because we may have to adjust the dosage. And I don't know what it was and everything she told me. And she said that possibly my hearing will get messed up, that possibly she said my kidneys, I think it was, that would get messed up, possibly my respiratory system, due to I guess the strong chemicals in it, that it would get like damaged. It can possibly get damaged. And just hearing her like tell me all of this, I began to cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. And my mom was sitting next to me and my friend Edgar was there and my mom was holding my hand. And then I realized in the moment, I'm like, oh my God, does my mom think that we have to do this? Maybe we don't have to do this. Maybe I'm not going to do this. Oh my God, what is happening? And I thought, like, it's not fair. I'm like, and I remember, like, guys, I don't even know if to tell you what I said, but I remember going up to the receptionist and I'm crying and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, no, the doctor just told me that I would need so many months of chemotherapy and that all of the possible organs that can get damaged in that process. And I said, it's not fair. Like, people who choose to do drugs have a choice in doing drugs. So now I don't get a choice in whether I want to do chemotherapy or not. That's not fair. And she said, you're right. I remember the receptionist telling me, you're right. It's not fair. So I'm thinking that idea. I'm like, it's not fair. And then I go home and I think about it and everything. I remember then one day I made up my mind and I said, no, I'm going to do research and I'm going to see if there's anything holistic that I can do to heal my cells, to make my cells turn back to normal. Because, cancer cells were cells that were once normal, but then apparently they ended up like turning into a cancer cell and then multiplying, and then they consume a lot of sugar. So I'm like, what if I can get my cells to be back to normal in a holistic way? And, if I ever change my mind and I feel ready for chemo, then I can tell the doctor, I feel ready for chemo. I can do it now. So basically that's what I did. Like I never felt ready. I never felt ready to do chemo. And, I thought, like, am I crazy for this? Because I was set that I was going to do it. And then I learned about crispycancer.com. And he actually had surgery for colon cancer. I had ovarian cancer, so I understand there are different types of cancer. But nonetheless, it's cancer. So, what possibly worked for one person could work for the other. So I said, oh my God, like maybe things that he has done holistically can also work for me. And also my research that I did everywhere on YouTube, on Google. I bought books about cancer healing naturally. I spoke to people like, friends of mine directed me to people that healed from brain tumors, like naturally, from different types of cancers. So I thought like there's just has to be a way, and I'm going to do this. I'm like, it makes a lot of sense. Like Crispy Cancer says, am I going to heal by giving myself? There's a phrase that he has, and I wish I had like looked it up before coming here with you guys, but it's sort of along the lines of like, am I going to heal my body by giving myself all these chemicals in a high amount? Or can I just overdose on fruits and vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
which are not a drug, and heal. And I
Right.
thought, like, hey, like, this makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I'm like, if it worked for him and other testimonies he has on his website, and it worked for people that God put in front of me and that I've met and I spoke to, why could it not work for me too?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
just like had this hope and faith, and I had a whole community of people praying for me, friends, strangers. You know, quickly on YouTube, my community grew, and they
Mm-hmm.
would like send me words of encouragement, and they were always there for me. And thank you guys. I love you so much. If you guys watch, my loving YouTube family, thank you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
without you guys and your prayers, I couldn't have done it. And then you were
Yeah.
also part of it, and you also were praying, and you were
Mm-hmm.
also part of that community. So thank you, Stefan. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I can't believe it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because I
Yeah.
know you have more questions for me. But thank God,
Yeah. And I
almost.
mean,
Hmm.
I don't think, like, even though, yes, you know that God told you to do this, I don't
Yeah,
know if you know the extent to which what you're doing, how impactful it is, because got to look at some of the statistics, especially surrounding like ovarian cancer. And I think one of the reports that came out was that they said that 78% of women survive that first year after diagnosis in
saw
terms of
that.
ovarian cancer,
Mhm.
right? And it's been just about close to a year since your diagnosis. You're still here looking amazing, right?
And I
And mhm.
mentioned they only gave me 1 year to live.
Wow,
I was only given 1 year to live.
wow,
MSK, the oncologist at MSK, the Memorial
wow,
Sloan Kettering Center, told me within 1 year you'll be gone. I'm not even sure
wow.
you'll last till 1 year, because something I didn't mention to you guys. It's just so much information, but
Mm-hmm.
after surgery, I had two nodules appear. Like maybe
Wow.
like a month or two later, like surgery was
Mm-hmm.
in December, January, February. So 2 months later in February, I had
Mm-hmm.
two nodules appear. And when I got the PET scan done, that area took in a lot of the FDG uptake, which is
Mm-hmm.
the sugar or glucose they inject into your vein. It took a lot of it. So it was suspicious for cancer. And they told me, like, it's cancer again. Like, obviously, they told me this in MSK. They were like, it's obviously cancer due to your history.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, not again, not a mass again. Like,
Yeah.
imagine how terrified I was. I'm like, not again. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's when they told me you're only gonna have 1 year left to live, if that, if that.
Wow. And do you remember if they said it with? Because I know doctors are terrible when
Yeah,
it comes to compassion. So was
yeah.
there like any compassion behind them saying that,
No,
or was it just like,
no compassion.
wow, wow,
She was very cold. She was very cold, and she said it clearly. She said, "You have at most," because I said, "Oh, is there like some sort of timeline?" You know, I hear that people get a certain amount of time that they have left to live, or that they're going to live if they have cancer. So what if I don't do chemo? Then what? And she said at most you would have 1 year left to live. And I thought, oh my God, because she said you already wasted time. You haven't started right away since surgery. You've wasted time. She told me that. And then her assistant that I saw at a previous appointment, he had told me that if I don't do chemo, I'll be good without cancer maybe 2 years. And that if I did do chemo, then the cancer would come back in 4 to 5 years. So if I didn't do chemo, he said like maybe in 2 years, 1 or 2 years, and that if I did do chemo in maybe 4 to 5 years, it would come back. So can you imagine, like, I'm there listening to this, if you were there
right,
listening to this, and you're hearing that either way, you may have the cancer
mm-hmm.
come back, then why would you feel like doing the chemo? And then, according to MSK, the cancer came back in the form of the nodules.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but how do you know it's cancer? How do you know? She said, oh, based on your history. She said, you can get a biopsy if you feel comfortable. But I did research on biopsy, guys. And when you
Right.
do those biopsies, if it's cancer, you can spread those cells into other parts of your body. And I didn't want that.
Right.
I would get the torture of the biopsy for what? So then at the
Mm.
end decide I'm going to do chemo.
Yeah.
So then at the end decide that I wasn't going to do it if I went the holistic route. So did I need to do the biopsy? No.
Mm.
I didn't.
Right.
I
Wow.
didn't. And then, I had some people on my loving YouTube family. They were
Mm.
like, oh my God, you were giving 1 year left to live. How could you be so positive?
Mm.
How could
Yeah.
you be so positive? Like, how? You smile, you laugh. They even started to doubt my diagnosis. They started to doubt it. And
Yeah.
I didn't feel good about that. That made me feel like pretty like terrible. I'm like,
Mm.
why would anyone make up a cancer diagnosis and having kids? And I didn't want to do what I did, but I ended up doing a live and probably a video where I shared my personal documents, my personal
Mm.
medical documents,
Mm.
stating my cancer diagnosis. So I was able to give people a visual with actual
Mm.
proof of
Right.
it, because like statements like that from people that are not loving unconditionally, you know, that would affect people who are actually trying to heal their cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't want to take away from the people that were loving unconditionally, learning new information from what I was sharing. I didn't want to take
Mm.
away from their credibility.
Mm.
I didn't want to take away from their credibility, because if God gave me this huge task to go through all the pain that I went through when I had the cancer inside of me, and then getting the surgery and how painful that was, and then God telling me, Lerubi, share your story on YouTube
Mm.
right now, I was not gonna let like non-believers destroy the message. So
Right.
even though I didn't want to show that proof, guess what, Stefan? I went on and I showed the proof of the
Mm.
actual cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that and since then, like I've noticed like how yeah you've mentioned just like consistent treatment after treatment, whether that's the carrot juice or the celery juice, right? And things that sound simple, but I think we really don't value the power in the fruits and vegetables that God created, and
Yeah.
the fruits and vegetables that we have access to, um, and I just see that just how powerful that is, and at
Mhm.
this point, like as you've been doing that, where are you in terms of stages of cancer? Like what are the CAT scan results coming back showing right now?
So, I'm incredibly grateful, thankful, happy to share that God has healed me with the fruits and vegetables that He has provided for us on this earth, and with the great people that He allowed me to get in contact with, that helped me, like have helped me in this journey to do what I needed to do in order to heal and stay consistent. Because it's all about consistency. It's not about trying it one day and not doing it the next day. So I'm so happy to say that God has healed me. My PET scans, my CT scans since August have been showing no evidence of disease.
Wow, that's amazing.
Glory to God. No
Yeah.
evidence of disease. And then I just had a PET scan to confirm if I'm no evidence
Mm-hmm.
of disease. I just had one done two
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago. And guess what? No evidence of disease.
Wow.
And I'm going to do actually like a live video about this on my YouTube channel on Sunday. On
Nice.
Sunday, so I can share my results, show my results, and incredibly grateful for all the support, prayers I've had, and people that helped me in this cancer healing journey, because I could not have done it alone. I could
Yeah.
not have done it alone. And just to share a little preview of my results, it
Hmm.
actually states that the FDG that they inject into your vein,
Hmm.
which is that like sugar that's supposed to activate in your body if there's presence of cancer, there was less of an uptake than
Hmm.
there was before in the previous PET scan.
Wow.
So I took that as good news, like, oh my God, Lerubi, your cells are turning back to normal, your cells
Hmm.
are healing. And that for me is evidence of like less cancer activity. And I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for the oncologist to give me her definition of the reading next week. I have an appointment next week, Thursday.
Hmm.
I'm just waiting for her to tell me, but I read it and, you know, I that's what I got from it. And I'm so grateful. So grateful.
Wow. Well, that's definitely something to be grateful for, especially since we're doing this around Thanksgiving
Woo!
as
Thank you,
well,
God. Yes, yes.
right? So it's definitely an amazing
Gotta be
thing to,
grateful.
yeah. And just to so that our audience really understands like how significant this is, and I just want to share a couple of facts here. It says that the American Cancer Society estimates that in 2023, about 19,710 new cases of ovarian cancer will be diagnosed, and about 13,270 women will die of ovarian cancer in the United States. It says mortality rates for ovarian cancer have declined only slightly in the 40 years since the war on cancer was declared. However, other cancers have shown a much greater reduction in mortality due to many factors. Again, it says ovarian cancer accounts for 2.5% of cancers in women. It says while it's the 11th most common cancer among women, ovarian cancer is the fifth leading cause of cancer related death among women. So, with all these facts, right, even though, and they sound like really morbid, like you still maintain that positive mindset, that healthy mindset of like, you know what? No, like I'm gonna push through this. I'm gonna get through this. And most of all, God is the one who's gonna help me through this. He's the one that is going to say whether or not, like, what is going to be the reality. And the reality is that we're healed, right? Almost a full year later, right?
Yes.
And so that this is something that this is why I really want us on this podcast to really focus on what can really come from us choosing ourselves, choosing health, choosing a path of winning and victory. That you don't have to hear something terrible and just decide, well, that's going to be it. That's my end. That's how things
Right.
end for me. You know.
And I want to add, even today, I still continue on my nutrition protocol with my carrot juice, with my celery juice. And it's not only the nutrition aspect, it's a whole protocol. I did research from all these different places and from all these different doctors, and I paid visits and all these things. And then I created my own protocol. I created my own protocol and changed my lifestyle. So with that protocol, I took it and I changed my whole lifestyle. And that's how I've been able to get healed. So in a sense, like this cancer diagnosis made me healthier and also brought me closer to God. So it did like two things for me that I'm very grateful and thankful for. Cause like honestly, like sometimes we just get lost in the mix of like working and our goals and our vision and our plans. But like you need some time to slow down and look within and realize health is our wealth. Without health, we have nothing. And without God and listening to his guidance, we have nothing. So the fact that like God has allowed me one more chance to stay alive, I want to do something with that. I want to do something with that and feel and know that I deserve and that we're all deserving, of having what we want and what we envision and having that confidence to do that. Because sometimes we feel like I don't deserve, I'm not worthy enough, and those thoughts are not even good for you mentally, psychologically, physically. And then that could lead to cancer potentially, right? Because I want to mention that stress, all that stress that I went through in my life before being diagnosed with cancer, like doing a program that was like very intense, that could also cause cancer because then the stress hormone cortisol can grow in your body, or like you can have more cortisol in your body. And if you don't find ways of like having the cortisol leave your body, then that can cause cancer. So, yeah, something you want to ask yourself, if you're diagnosed with cancer, is what was going on in my life in that moment
Mm.
when I was diagnosed with cancer? What was going on in that moment or right before that moment?
Yeah.
And usually, like people will answer something traumatic, maybe a huge period of stress for some reason, whether in relationship or financial or, like something in our day to day life.
Mm.
And that is no surprise. Because I know, like, in the world, like, we're taught to believe, like, oh, yeah, like, people get cancer. You got
Mm.
cancer because, yeah, that's what happens. You get older and, yeah, then you need to have cancer.
Mm.
No, not necessarily. If you choose your health and you take care of your health, you don't need to have cancer,
Right. Right.
and doing the research and being aware, what can give me cancer? What are
Mm.
things that can cause cancer for me in my life? What are they? And then
Right.
finding ways to eliminate that and to work on that, so that's not a part of your life and you can actually
Mm.
be healthy and not get into cancer. And I made some notes like
Mm.
before coming on of like somewhat of a protocol. Like I'm
Mm.
like, I want to make this as valuable as possible.
Mm.
So I don't know if I can like tell you guys
Oh,
like,
definitely.
oh, okay. So basically also like a mindset that I had when this whole thing happened was like, oh my God, I want to live longer to love longer. I love my
Mm.
daughters. I love
Mm.
them. So that was a huge why for me. So I said, live longer to love longer. Live
Mm.
longer to love longer. And my family and my friends, how can I do that? My obsession began. So then I realized, I said, I have to detox my body because my body must have so much toxins in it from all the stress that I went through, from all the fast foods that I ate, for the fact that I didn't work out in a while. Because I didn't work out in a while and then I began to work out. And then, we always think that then that's supposed to like make up for the previous days or years. Great that you started, but your body may have all these toxins from when you didn't start. So I'm like, okay, I have to detox my body, I have to nourish my body, and I have to regenerate the cells in my body. So those three things: detox, nourish, and regenerate. So I want all the toxins to leave my body. That's a detox. I want to nourish my body with fruits and vegetables. That's the nourishment. And I want to regenerate the cells in my body. I want to regenerate the cells in my body into healthy cells. And if I follow the protocol, I will be able to do all three things. And actually, it's also realizing the power of words. So I would tell myself certain things. I would tell myself that I'm going to be okay, that I'm going to heal, that I need to stay alive. Lerubi, you're breathing. You're breathing right now. Let's go. What's next? What are you going to do next to heal? So if I touch upon the what I wrote down in my list for the protocol. So number one, sleeping enough to be rested. So from 10 to 2 a.m., the cells in your body, they regenerate. And from 11 to 1 a.m. is when melatonin's production is the highest in your body. And melatonin is one of the hormones that's responsible for having cancer leave your body. I did a lot of research on this and I came across that we need melatonin. If you don't want cancer in your body, you need melatonin. Sleep is so important. I know there's the culture of like the hustle and all that, and like no sleep, no. I understand we want more hours in our lives, but maybe it's also being intentional with our time while we are awake and noticing the pockets of time that are available and having a list of what you're going to do when you have 10 minutes available, 15 minutes available, so that you don't, what's that word I'm looking for? You don't give up your sleep
Yeah.
to do this hustle mentality, because then what good would it be for the next day if you're tired? Not only
Mm-hmm.
tired, but what good is it if for the next days of your life, you're not
Mm-hmm.
healthy?
Yep.
What good is it? So
Yep.
you need your sleep. So I would say try to be in bed before 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Yep.
get that regeneration of your cells from 10 to 2 a.m. in the
Yeah.
morning.
Nice.
Yeah. So you want to get that. Um, and number 2 is eating a big bowl of cruciferous vegetables daily.
Mm-hmm.
So daily, you want to eat a big bowl of, your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli, cauliflower, kale. Maybe have some onions on that. Maybe have some sauerkraut.
Mm-hmm.
Do you sometimes feel like it doesn't go together? Like, we can think that, or we can think, no, this is healing my body.
Right.
This is healing my body, and I'm going to eat this. Having your avocado there, just having
Yeah.
all these vegetables that are going to give the nutrients to your body that you need, the nourishment that your body needs. Juicing 5 cups, number 3, juicing 5 cups of carrot juice daily, five
Mm-hmm.
times a week. That's something else you want to do. If you
Yeah.
go to viveprimal.com,
Mm-hmm.
Vive, I don't know if you can put the link
Oh yeah,
there.
definitely.
I'm not getting paid to like share this link or anything, but it was helpful for me, and I wanted to be helpful for someone else. Um, if you go there, he has like this doctor, holistic doctor, he has a protocol for any disease,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and it basically entails using carrot juice, juicing it daily, 5 times a week, and then having certain supplements that you take. And for me, I used the cancer protocol, so it was
Mm-hmm.
5 cups of carrot juice per day, 5 times a week, and I did that, and let me tell you, that was a game changer. And
Mm-hmm.
funny enough, before I found viveprimal.com, then the doctor's name is actually Dr. Ludwig Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Before I found him, in the beginning of doing the YouTube channel, and I remember I came home one morning and I was going to record a few videos, and this thought came onto my mind like an epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, during this time, I'm not really eating. I'm mostly fasting. I'm just juicing and drinking water, not focused on eating carbs because I didn't want sugar. Carbs turn into sugar. I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
that. Cancer like sugar. I just wanted to get away from that. And I'm feeling a little bit light, and my body is detoxing during this time. And sorry for so much information, guys, but I had diarrhea during that
Mm-hmm.
time for 3 months. It was intense. I would
Mm-hmm.
go somewhere and then I feel like, oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom. All those
Yeah.
toxins were leaving my body with the protocol that I did. And at this point, I was still not on carrot juice. This was only detoxing with celery juice, 16 ounces a day every morning. With garlic, I would peel one garlic every morning, smash it, and take it down with lemon water. Oh my God, wonders for your body, wonders.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought came down to me, Lerubi, and I listened. You're missing carrot juice. You need carrot juice. I don't know how, when, where, why, how I heard that, but I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward into the future, I learned about Dr. Ludwig Johnson and the website that he has and how he has the protocol there. And I began to do that. And he's on Instagram too. I began to do the carrot juice. And once I did the carrot juice, soon after I had a dream. I'm very like spiritual and things like that, and like listening to ourselves. And the dream was basically that I'm walking, and everywhere that I walked and everything that I touched, it turned into carrots.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh my God, this is a confirmation. Keep
Mhm.
drinking carrot juice.
Yeah.
And you fast forward again. When I go to one of my visits, I had my scans. The nodules were getting smaller.
Oh,
The two
wow.
nodules were getting smaller.
Nice.
And they were like, no. They're like, oh, the doctors are like, they're just getting smaller because, maybe it's not accurate, the measurements on the PET scan as
Mm.
opposed to the CAT scan. I said, no, I mean, you sure? I'm like, it looks like it's getting smaller. Look at the measurements. They're like,
Yeah.
oh. Then they do a scan. And then it was evidently getting smaller. And, until the day that they were never even present anymore.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. And then number 5, smile every moment that you can.
Hmm.
Smile every moment you can. Feel the gratitude. Be thankful. Life is happening again for you, is not happening to you. And, there's a reason why all of this is happening. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's for greater things that you never even imagined.
Hmm.
I'm like
Yeah.
so grateful that I could help so many people with my
Yeah.
story, like super thankful about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 6, you want to be stress free. I know that's hard to say,
Yeah.
right? Because
Especially the parent as well.
especially to parents,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's hard to say, like, don't be stressed,
Yeah.
but don't be stressed. Sometimes things are not as bad as we make them out to be in our mind. And like,
Hmm.
if you're in your head and you're just thinking and thinking and thinking, and you just take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out,
Yeah.
relax, get into action, get out of your mind, go into your heart, get into action. What are the steps that you're going to take right now to get to the final outcome that you are going for, that you envision, that you want? What are the steps, Do them right now. It's not as bad or as stressful as we may make it to be sometimes. It's just us making it worse. Do you agree, Stefan?
I totally agree. I definitely think that our mindset really dictates so much. And we really, I think about all the people that we either deem as successful or great. Like, I think the number one thing has always been their mindset to really look beyond what they see and actually see what they actually envision. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a really huge part of it.
Absolutely. They don't get stuck on the troubles. They're solution oriented, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. And it brings me back to what I've learned in Tony Robbins and how like he would have like these long days and like this determination of like getting things done. And he would have us, the participants, be at the event, at the
Hmm.
workshop for like 16 hours straight,
Right.
to show
Wow.
us what life is like. Life is about putting in the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would have to say, like, after going through cancer, you also have to realize how important sleep is.
Hmm.
So if we could
Yeah.
find a way to like get everything done in one day and still, with being intentional with our time, but still like getting into bed before 10 so we can have our
Hmm.
cells regenerate from 10 to 2, that would
Hmm.
be a life changer. That
Yeah.
would be a game changer
Yeah.
for all of us.
Yeah. That's
Right.
definitely true.
Mm-hmm. And a few more points. So be
Hmm.
stress free. Okay, 7. Spending time with people who love you. Don't focus on lack or anyone
Hmm.
that does not show their love for you. You don't want to be in a toxic relationship ever, or
Hmm.
that will produce stress in your life. We want to
Yeah.
stay away from stress because that causes cancer.
Hmm. Yeah.
You don't want to be in toxic situations. And it's not to say like, oh, don't show love to people. Of course, show love to people, show love to strangers, be kind, show love to your family. But, you're not going to show love to a point where you're consistently like showing love or giving
Hmm.
love to people that are not also deserving of it in the way that they're not also giving it to you.
Right.
Because then that would make it toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And toxic things lead to toxic thoughts. And you don't want stress to come into your
Mm-hmm.
life in that way. When you have so much abundance and beautiful things in your life right in front of you, and you just have to realize that and have that be your drive and not
Yeah.
what you don't have. Focus on what you have and where you want to go and, you know, what do you see for your future instead, you know?
Yeah.
That's a big factor in the whole cancer healing. Huge, huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Number 8, stay hydrated. Number 9, yeah, stay hydrated all day, guys. Like I have water
Mm-hmm.
here right now. I don't know if you guys
Mm-hmm.
saw me drinking water.
Yeah. No, that's
It's
definitely
all
important. It's definitely important. And also, I think one of the things we limit hydration to is just water, but also like using those fruits and veggies that are also high
yes.
in water as well.
Yes. So even your carrot juice and your celery juice, that's hydration. You're hydrating your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 9, workout, do yoga, do movement in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like get moving every day. Get a rebounder. Buy a rebounder, guys. It took me so many years to buy it. I learned about a rebounder at Tony Robbins and I just bought mine last week. But here it is in my living room and I'm so happy to have it. You
Uh-huh.
know, have your rebounder, set it up, get home, jump for maybe 5 minutes, then do another 5 minutes when you can, you know, but get moving, get your
Mm-hmm.
circulatory system working, your blood moving, get your cells in action, like get moving, right? We don't want
Yeah.
to be stagnant in any
Right.
way. You don't want to. You want to keep growing.
Yeah. And by
Um,
when you say rebounder, what is that exactly?
yeah, so the rebounder, it's like a trampoline, a mini trampoline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, you just like jump on it and you're gonna feel energy, you're gonna get healthier. It's gonna be a life changer. There's so many benefits if you guys go online and you guys like search it up. I wish I had them for you, sorry.
Uh-huh.
But I know as far as the circulatory system, it'll be working better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and more energy, but there's a lot more benefits to having a rebounder.
Nice.
Yeah. So we have that. Daily. Oh wait, yoga changed my life, by the way. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So I know some people take it as like yoga's bad for you. You're like praising a god or something.
Uh-huh.
It's all your intention. Is your intention to go in and praise a certain god? That's what you're
Right.
doing, then that's what you're doing. I personally went into yoga because I wanted to heal my
Right.
body. I wanted to heal my spine.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to heal my posture and like the movement of my spine and like making sure my spine was working well. Like I did so much research on like poor spine health and how that can cause a lot of diseases.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. You know,
Right.
I obviously was very sick. Like my body was very sick that it turned to get cancer. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to find any way possible to heal, and yoga was a huge part of it. Yeah, ever since August, I've been practicing yoga consistently, weekly, and
Nice.
I love it. I feel
Nice.
stronger. I feel more flexibility. I just feel great.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Am I taking long with the list?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Because I definitely think this is valuable. It's definitely very, very valuable information because for people going through this, it's important for them to hear it, especially since there are only certain channels through which they'll be able to get any type of information like this because they're either bombarded by some medical professional that's telling them like, hey, that guy or that lady or whoever it is, they're kooks, they don't know what they're talking about. You need to follow our protocol, you need to go through the chemo, you need to be taking this medication, and we're
Right.
constantly being told by the medical industry, this is what you need to do, and this is the same medical industry that has been profiting billions, trillions of dollars off of us, but then we don't see that we're any healthier or any better, even though we're putting all this money into the medical industry. Right.
Right. I agree with what you said, but I also want to add a disclaimer.
Hmm.
Anything that I'm sharing, and I'm pretty sure Stefan, I mean, you can add your thoughts, but anything that I'm sharing is not to discourage you from like following your medical professional
Right.
advice. Um, I basically went through this cancer situation and this healing journey, and I found in my calling to continue
Hmm.
to share with people my experience and in hopes of, maybe like helping other people.
Hmm.
And but a disclaimer is that I don't discourage you to follow your medical advice. You're free to do
Right.
what you want to do and to follow the protocol that you want to follow, and whatever you have agreed to do with your family, friends, your doctor, that is up to you. I'm only here to share advice like based on what I did and share my
Right.
story and what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I love the fact that you took it and created a protocol for yourself, right? Because
Thank you.
there are not many people that actually would do that. It's just like, let me
Mhm.
just try to follow these steps, but you give yourself a guide, something that you were going to follow, that you were going to stick to. And it sounds like it, it definitely worked.
Yes, yes. Truly, truly grateful about that. Okay, so then we have daily supplements. So you need to go to a holistic doctor and have them evaluate your situation to guide you in purchasing the supplements that you need. So that's what I did. I went to
Hmm.
the holistic doctor and he told me what supplements I needed to get based on my specific cancer because the
Hmm.
cancer was located in a specific region.
Right.
So based on that region, he told me what supplements to take. And guess what, guys? Till this day, I still take those supplements.
Yep.
It's not over yet. Medically, like if you haven't been cancer free for 5 years, you're not free. And not only that, but since it's fairly new, what happened to me, like I wouldn't stop taking my supplements or doing my protocol anytime soon. And to be honest with you guys, this will probably be my lifestyle forever, ever, ever, and forever, and infinity and beyond.
Hmm.
Because it just, the way it made me feel, it's good and it changed my life. I'm alive.
Hmm.
So why would I change that? I don't see
Yeah.
why I should.
And I think it's really important to keep driving at that because, especially as a personal trainer, it's consistent where I have to reinforce to my clients. It's about a lifestyle, right? Because
Yeah,
consistently clients want to like, hey, I got a wedding coming up. I want to lose 20, 30 pounds,
right.
right? And then they do it and then they go right back to eating how they were eating, working out, or like probably not working out anymore, not managing their stress, not going to sleep on time. So then they balloon right back up after the wedding or whatever event they were losing the weight for, and they're back at, square one, right?
That can happen to us, like how I went to square one
Yeah,
from losing the weight from both of my pregnancies, 45 pounds, then
yeah,
doing the teaching program and gaining all that weight, back to
hmm,
square one.
yeah,
So we need to
yeah,
be aware to not be thrown into all these different directions and to have like what you want and your intention for your life and your time to be what is actually going to happen, not what others want for your time to happen,
yeah,
what you want for your time to happen.
yeah,
So that's very important. So I totally agree with you on that.
yeah,
Like maybe you want to lose weight for a wedding, maybe you want to look good for all these people at that event that day.
mm,
But then, is that going to help you to only look better for the wedding? What about long term in your health?
yeah,
Health as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Okay, so then if we go on to the next one, we have number 11, herbalist and teas. So I went to a herbalist. I'm so grateful and thankful that my friend
Mm,
Rose, we met acting, and I never
mm-hmm.
knew that we're still gonna like be connected. And
Right.
she saw what was happening to me. I don't know if she messaged me or I messaged her, but we ended up talking and she shared with me like what she went through. I shared with her what I was going through. We found like a common ground, and she said, listen, I went to this herbalist when I was going through something, and I recommend that you try and visit him
Mm-hmm.
and see how it goes. So she gave me the herbalist number. I made an appointment and it changed my life. He had the best herbs that you need in a tea that will heal your body. And that changed my life. I've gone to him maybe 3 sessions. And every time I leave, with my bag of teas, and then I make them for like 7 to 10 days, and it really has changed my life. That's also part of my healing. Yes.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So we have that. Also at home, personally, I made my own tea. I made ginger tea with like the actual ginger or the powder. It would vary. This was a long healing journey. I was just trying to stay motivated and alive. At one point I used like the powder, but then I was like, let me use the real ginger. And I got soursop leaves and guava leaves. Actually, my brother's girlfriend got me the guava leaves, and I was thankful for that. I Googled it and I'm like, oh my God, it helps with ovary like cysts and things like that and masses. I'm like, great. Soursop, for years and years we've heard of the magic of soursop, the leaf and the fruit. So I did that. I boiled it. I would drink it. And also I would add turmeric powder to my tea. You could also buy the root, but I would add the powder. Turmeric, oh my God. There's actually studies that have shown that the turmeric heals ovarian cancer. Also,
Mm-hmm.
ginger can heal ovarian cancer. There's been studies. Um, that's so truly powerful, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wow. What else on that? On the healing of the tea? Trying to think. I don't want to leave anything out.
No, that's fine. It's totally
Yeah,
fine. And anything you can think of, maybe if you even think of it after, I can definitely put it in the description so that everyone can, take a look at it. And you're definitely welcome to definitely come back because that's one thing we've all had like great guests on the show. So there are a couple of guests who said that they'll definitely come back
definitely,
for a repeat episode. But this
definitely.
was definitely very valuable information. And again, obviously, put in the disclaimer here, even though like Lerubi's like experience and testimony, like she went through it, she did the work, she saw the results. And I want to put a disclaimer that yes, this is a process she went through, and we're not saying that this is something that you have to do,
Mm-hmm.
but always keep the option open of entertaining holistic and natural means to treatment and to cure. And and I think that hearing stories like this, because this is not like your story is not the first that we've heard like this, right? We've had consistent testimonies, thousands and millions of testimonies of people, utilizing holistic means to cure themselves. And so it's just amazing to me that it's still uh, a route that is not as trusted as other means of dealing with it. I
Right.
understand the risk, the fear, like because like even overcoming that, like even overcoming the idea that I'm going down a route or a means of treatment that most people actually don't resort to, right? Like
That was
most
scary.
people, yeah, yeah, like that takes a really like a lot of guts, a lot of strong faith
Oh,
to be like, you know what, I'm gonna do that, right?
I just wanted to have energy, like for my daughters and my friends and my family, and I I didn't think I would have it in another
Yeah,
route. I
yeah,
wanted to overdose on getting energy. And
yeah,
if I overdosed in another way that wouldn't give me energy, then how would I be able to be useful for anyone around me and for
yeah,
myself?
yeah,
Quickly,
yeah.
if I can say like 10 more points.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there'll be another way in the future that we can get even deeper, but before we leave, at least I can leave you guys with these points.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also magic in blueberries. I would
Mm-hmm.
have a blueberry shake for lunch every day. Blueberries have a certain chemical that is anti-cancer. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to have blueberries every day, whether in a smoothie or just a handful, you want to have them. 13, ovarian, for ovarian cancer, the magic of the orange family. So winter
Mm-hmm.
squash, carrots, papaya, mango, grapefruit. There is magic in each of these fruits and vegetables for your body. There is magic. And ginger is also the, orange family. Also turmeric. Look at that.
Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah.
And number 14, smoothies, sour sop smoothies. I made them probably like 3 months straight, 4 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also I would make the papaya and mango smoothie. I would add to my smoothies bitter apricot seeds. Like the
Mm-hmm.
bag says to only add 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally took the risk. I was obsessed with staying alive. And I took the risk and I added sometimes like 10, 15,
Yeah.
20. Um, because they said like not to take that much or your body could be poisoned. So
Mm-hmm.
up to you guys, if you want to follow that direction of the bag, then do what's best for you and your family and do the 2 to 3 seeds. But I personally did research and I
Mm-hmm.
saw other people that took a handful of apricot seeds, for example. And I said, how about I count them? And then I would do like 10, 15, 20. So I did that.
Yeah.
And then I remember I experienced some sort of like symptom,
Mm-hmm.
a symptom, and I don't remember specifically what it was. If it was feeling like I couldn't breathe or something else, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, wait a minute, is it the apricot seeds? Is it that? So
Uh-huh.
then like, I went down on them and I did less of them, but I never stopped taking my apricot seeds because
Right.
I knew they would be a huge factor in my cancer healing. I did my
Mm-hmm.
research, so I knew. Bitter apricot seeds.
That's a
But
good tip there.
yeah. And then I also added flaxseed, grounded flaxseed, chia seeds, mushroom powder. There's a bag they sell in Whole Foods that has all the mushroom powder in
Mm-hmm.
it. And I just took that and I would add it in there. And then number 16, high dosage vitamin C once a week.
Mm-hmm.
I did at least 2 whole packages, which included 5 to 6 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, I did a few sessions when I first began the treatment in order to try it out. Oh, and I also did ozone, the ozone
Okay. Yes.
IV bag as well. So yeah, like you're making an investment, but
Mm-hmm.
think about it. What did I have left? They gave me
Yeah.
1 year to live. One year to live. So
Yeah.
if they gave me 1 year to live, was I going to be concerned in like money or
Mm-hmm.
anyone around me? No
Yeah.
one around me or myself was concerned about money. All we were concerned about was me staying alive. So
Yeah.
we all found a way, and I found, you know, help in so many different ways for people that supported me throughout this time and in getting these treatments.
Yeah.
Because we wanted was for me to stay alive.
Yeah.
So we did that. 17, which should have been number one on my list. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
guys, is God and prayer.
Mm-hmm.
God moves mountains, prayers move mountains. Guys, it's powerful. I had
Mm-hmm.
people all around the world praying for me. People from my YouTube family, friends and family all around the world, strangers all around the world. I even had people like, getting back to something you mentioned, I even had people convincing me, Lerubi, you must do the chemo or you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Do the chemotherapy or you will die. And even friends of mine sometimes would go like, Lerubi, the nodules showed up. Are you sure you're still not going to do chemotherapy? I
Yeah.
feel fine. I would say, I feel fine. I feel energetic. I'm taking
Yeah.
my fruits and my vegetables and my supplements and I'm sleeping and I'm not going through stress right now. I'm just focused on this and my YouTube channel. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be fine. And they're like, but 2 nodules showed up. Isn't it
Yeah.
time? Isn't it time to get into the chemotherapy?
Yeah.
And I prayed about it and I
Yeah.
still didn't feel like that was what I needed to do.
Yeah. Wow.
Still didn't feel that. The power, number 18, the power of a positive and growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's all mindset. It's all growth mindset. I easily could have said, I give up, take me. And I did one day. I gave up. This was, oh my God, guys. I don't know if in my channel you guys can see like how dramatic this was, but this was hard. This was not easy to go through. It was not. And one day I was in the kitchen and I remember telling my mom, crying in tears. I was in my mom's house because after the surgery, I didn't want to be alone. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like if I'm alone, what if I die or something? Like, it was just like these thoughts. So I just stood with my mom and I needed the help with my girls. And I said, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to do chemo. And I told my brother, come to the kitchen. I'm going to do chemo. I'm ready. I called my close friend and I told her I'm going to do chemo. I don't want to deal with this uncertainty anymore. Like let the chemical go through me. Let this drug go through me and like let it be the thing that eradicates the cancer that's in my body. The doctors are recommending it. They say that I should take it. Let me be done and over with this. I can't with this uncertainty anymore. Of
Right.
feeling, am I gonna stay alive?
Right.
Or am I going to die? I cannot deal with this anymore. I'm done. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And right there in that moment, I had a friend call me. Um, like God works in mysterious ways. Like I never knew that this person, this coworker would actually like be such a good friend to me in such a harsh time in my life, in such a difficult
Mm-hmm.
moment in my life. And he actually like stood out from everyone,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because like not everyone shows up in your life the
This is
way you
true.
need them to when you're going through a hard circumstance.
This is very true. Very true.
Yeah, and he called me in that moment. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm crying right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm crying right now because I can't take it anymore. Like I'm supposed to die from this
Mm-hmm.
cancer and I don't want to die, and I believe in the healing of my natural holistic healing that I'm going through, and checking my blood levels when I go to the doctor. I get my blood levels checked for the cancer, see how it's going, and I get my scans, but I can't take it anymore. Like,
Right.
am I going to die or not? And then people telling me that I should go and take it. I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm done. And
Yeah.
he said, no, I'm gonna go to your house today. I'm gonna go
Mm-hmm.
to your mom's house, and you're going to feel better after our conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, okay. But I didn't think that, anything was gonna come from it. When he
Right.
left, I made a new decision. I was not ready for chemo yet, still. Not
Yeah.
ready. And that was amazing. So all these little things that happened to me in that time are just like
Yeah.
they all led from one thing to the next, one thing to the next until, I was able to stay the course on my holistic, natural healing journey.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
Yeah, I have like five more points. Okay, I'll go
Uh-huh.
quicker. Number 15, the crucial powders. Yeah, you got the mushrooms, you got that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
17, 18, 19. This is the last one. Or actually one more that I forgot to mention. But yeah, 19. Discipline and daily consistent action for your health. Having a great support from family, friends is very, very important, and that they respect your decision on how you want to proceed with your cancer healing journey, no matter what. So we were just talking about that. Like some people are like, Lerubi, are you sure? You should just do it. We don't want you to die. But what do you feel inside? Is that how you want to proceed and
Right.
heal in your cancer journey? Is that what you want? And then 20, fasting. Fasting did
Mm-hmm.
wonders for me. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like I tried to like fast like for the whole day, no meal at all, but it was
Mm-hmm.
super hard. But
Yeah.
what I did do is that I drank water and smoothies and juicing, and I would like do that like for the throughout the day, like my morning garlic with lemon water, then my celery juice, then my carrot juice, then my blueberry smoothie for lunch with all the berries and bunch of blueberries and the powders. And then I would have only one meal a day, only
Oh,
one healthy meal a day. That's it. Nothing
yeah.
else until the next day, my water and smoothie protocol.
Oh,
So that was hard, 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 hard. And then until eventually I got used to it soon enough. And I would do that. I started off doing that 3 times a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I loved it so much and I felt all this energy and I felt great that I just would do it a lot more days of the week.
yeah. Oh,
Right. And so basically, you want your mind, your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual, your mental state. You want everything to be connected in a positive way so that disease has no place in your body
yeah.
or
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah. No, well, really, this is definitely really valuable information. Not
Thank
just
you.
valuable, but life changing information because um, it takes you beyond just healing the body, but then healing the mind and realizing that healing the mind is the first place, the first foundation for healing overall, whether that's physically, or mentally. Like that's the foundation of
Hmm.
really healing the mind. And so just sharing that, um, especially going through and in the knowledge of, in the light of a cancer diagnosis, ovarian cancer to be exact, a cancer that is proven to be very deadly for women worldwide, and to definitely still have the strength, the mental fortitude to say, you know what, I'm going to push through, I'm going to follow this protocol. And yes, I'm going to have days where I feel like I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm going to still push through. And
Yeah.
so this was definitely very valuable, definitely very helpful.
And can
I
I
think
add,
it's, mhm,
I'm sorry that the actual name of the type of ovarian cancer that I had, because there's many types, there's a few kinds of ovarian cancer.
mhm.
Mine was specifically called dysgerminoma. And it's a very,
Discriminate. Okay.
yeah, dysgerminoma. It's a very rare cancer that only about like 5% of people get.
Wow.
On top of that, I had a rare cancer.
Wow. Wow. And those are always those are always the hardest to deal
Yes,
with, especially if it's a rare cancer. So doing that, yeah, yeah, that's definitely. And if people don't believe in anything, that has to definitely be, with all those odds that it seems like stacked against you.
they were
It
against me.
definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is God, something higher, like whatever people want to believe in. Like all, I know that the majority of my listeners, they vary from believers to non-believers, but when you look at the odds being stacked against you, I don't know, but there has to be something higher that you believe in, or that something higher, some of a higher order is going on
Yeah.
that allows for you to make it through that, and to be here a year later, healed, right? Like I don't know what you guys want to call it. You can call it whatever you want. Lerubi and I are going to say that as God, and I'm going to stick to that. That's just my personal perspective, my personal belief, my experience. So, and for those who believe, for those who don't believe, this has to still be inspirational, and she shared some very, very valuable information here. Very, very valuable information.
And something that I want to tell your guest and anyone listening here, I would look for testimonies during my
Mm-hmm.
healing journey of people that healed holistically. I would look for them. I would
Mm-hmm.
listen to them. And I would say, I want to be like them. I want to be like
Mm-hmm.
them. I want for maybe a few months later or a year later or a year and a half later, because I didn't know how long it would take for me to heal. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want in a few months or in a year or two, I want to be that person sitting on the other side
Mm-hmm.
saying, I got through this. I made it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have cancer anymore.
Yeah.
And knowing that, of course, I didn't do this alone. I'm so grateful, like, for everyone I had in my
Yeah,
life that helped me get through that point. But I
yeah,
wanted to be on that other side, saying like, I don't have cancer anymore. I healed. I'm gonna stay alive. I'm going
hmm
to be alive for my family, my friends, my daughters,
hmm
and I'm here. What's next? God
yeah,
gave me a second chance, and I'm so happy that I can say that I'm here. We
yeah.
made it.
I know you said what's next because we're closing,
Oh,
get towards the end. Yeah, I know we're
oh,
almost there, but no, we'll definitely have you back for sure.
oh,
We'll
thank you.
definitely have you back for sure. Um, we want to know what's next for you. We know that you're still doing the videos that you're putting out on YouTube. And I
Yes.
also forgot to mention, I know you did have a podcast
Yeah, it's
uh,
still.
running this. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a podcast that I created during the time that I was going to all the Tony Robbins events. So all
hmm
these epiphanies that would dawn on me and things that I learned, I'm like, I need to have a place to share it on, and that's how the creation of the podcast came along. So it's there, like on Spotify, Apple, and like all podcast places, platforms.
So we'll definitely put that down in the description so you guys can go and listen there as well. And
Awesome.
yeah, Lerubi, it's definitely been amazing. I'm definitely glad we got to reconnect after what, 10 years, I think?
10 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
Yeah.
while. Well, guys, I know there's been a lot of valuable information shared. We're definitely gonna have Lerubi back. So but again, I wanna, as I always do at the end of the show, make an appeal to you to make health personal, make the choice to be you, and fight back, right? Fight back, love life, live life. Don't allow life to happen to you. Push ahead, push through it all. I promise, and Ruby will promise that if you put the work in, you'll see the results, and you'll see the results that you want. All
Mhm.
right. So I want you guys to really keep that forefront, right? Keep it at the front of your mind and know that you're going to be able to push through it and succeed. All right. So that's it, guys. This is Stefan Lessie. This is the I Choose Health podcast. Looking forward to see you guys back on the show. Hope you guys have a great one. Peace.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys. Bye.